What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Leader Support and Leader Podcast. I'm your host, Yohan Iker II. I'm back with another episode with a very special guest, Executive Pastor Hazel Gill from the Go Church Chicago. And we are talking about the growing pains of elevation, from the pew to the office, the ups, the downs, the insecurities, the concerns, the mindset that you must have. Get your pens, get your notebooks, tune into this episode. It's going to be great. Let's get to it. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Leader Support and Leader Podcast. And I am here with a very, very special guest, Pastor Hazel Gill, Executive Pastor of the Go Church Chicago. Welcome, Hazel, to the Leader Support and Leader Podcast. How are you this evening?
I am amazing. Thank you so much, Ewing, for extending the invitation and having me a part of this amazing podcast.
Well, I humbly and gracefully am appreciative that you took the time out to accept the invite to this podcast, because for our topic today, I thought about you and as your newly rolled as executive pastor, I said, I need to get Hazel on the podcast.
Wow.
I need to get Hazel on the podcast because you are fairly new to that role. I feel like that you will provide to the people a great insight, not someone that's been in there 10, 15 years that may have lost scope of what it means to be not an executive pastor, but someone that is new, that can give some insight to the fresh people that are coming into this role. So for the people that don't know, let me try to read this wonderful bio of our guest. I want y'all to know that she may be new to the executive pastor role, but she is not new to ministry, okay? So this bio, I'm gonna try to hit the highlights, okay?
Oh, yeah.
She's been serving since a child. She has been a choir member, a deacon, the kitchen ministry. That's a ministry in its own. I might have to do a show on the kitchen ministry. It's an anointing to serve in the kitchen.
Yes, it is.
The children ministry, health ministry. She, as we mentioned, currently the executive pastor and a leader of the Women's Life Group at the Go Church Chicago since it started in 2020. Amen. She is a radio host, a producer, organizer. She works for a broadcast company. I'm not going to say the name because, people people things. She's lives, this is what I love right here. She lives by a mantra of set the standard. Can you tell us what set the standard? Why is that your mantra? What does that mean to Pastor Hazel?
It means, I don't want to say that the definition changes for me, but at the end of the day, it equates excellency. It means wherever you are, whatever you are doing, you have the power to set the standard of excellence, show up and walk boldly and proudly in excellence. It's up to you to do that.
Wow. I love that. And if y'all not following on social media, the other thing I love is Hayes Thoughts, the hashtag. I love those. I love those.
Wow.
Give us little tidbits in there, and it's amazing. So thank you again for joining the podcast. So we're not going to prolong the time. We're going to get right into it. This episode is regarding the pains of elevation. The growing pains of elevation, from the pew to the office.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about some of them things, and we're going to let Pastor Hazel get some things off her chest and let the people know the growing pains of elevation. So let's get right into it. I like to start off basic. Okay. I don't like to assume that people know what the title or the job description is. So as an executive pastor, what does that mean for you and your church?
Okay. I'm glad you threw that last caveat in there because it does vary for each church, for every ministry, because for some the executive pastor could be slash the assistant pastor. It could be someone who preaches in the absence of the senior leader.
Okay.
But that is not I. As soon
Wait
as
a minute
people
now,
hear,
now. You might have something. You got a word in you.
well, let's pace ourselves, okay? And even with that, like I've learned, trust me, when Pastor Mac told me that he was going to appoint me as executive pastor, that was one of my first thoughts too. Like, wait a minute now,
Mhm.
I present day I am not interested in mounting the pulpit and preaching a word, at least not in the the every Sunday text. But like
Okay.
like when you read through my bio and me leading the women's life group,
Mm.
that may not be a hoop, but that is a moment, that is a space where I teach,
Okay.
where I lead women, through their everyday lives, so to say.
Okay.
But as far as executive pastor, that means I am second in command. I am I like to say pastor will have a vision, and step one is him giving that vision, and I take it through steps 2 through 99, and he comes through on step 100, and you know what I'm saying,
Woo.
executes and knock it out the box.
You said a
Um
whole word already. I like it. Wow.
because
Okay.
for senior leaders, as you serve yours,
Mhm.
it's so much more than just preaching on Sunday. There are a quadrillion things that go on, Monday through
Yes.
Saturday behind the scenes. So that's where the executive pastor in the context of the Go Church Chicago comes in helping with those operations and day-to-day situations, and being a bridge, being a gap filler between the senior leader and the sheep, if you will.
Got you. Got you. I like that. Taking it from catching a vision,
Yeah.
step one, and
Hmm.
then running with it, and then bringing it everything together so that the pastor can come in and close it at
Yes.
step 100. I love that. I love that. So you said, and I think you set a, no pun intended, but you just set a standard
Okay.
uh, of that in saying that we have to change our thinking that just because you are granted a title that you granted certain privileges,
Come on.
because some people will equate a pastoring or executive pastorship to getting on the microphone and
Mm,
that platform.
mm,
And so just off of that, does set the
yes.
standard. We're gonna use that probably throughout this because that's good.
Come on.
To
That's the
let them
one.
know, let the people know that it's about holding the man of God, the man or woman, uh,
Yes.
the woman of God or the man of God
Hmm.
vision up
Yes.
and supporting it. So when you excuse me, when Pastor Matt brought this to you, how did you receive that? How did you take that? Like me? How was that? How did you take that?
Exactly what you just said.
Oh,
But me? Yeah, honestly, I have a running joke with him actually. Um, depending on what's happening, what's going on, or whatever, I'll say amazing vision
mhm.
he out the box thought he comes up with each week. I'll tell him I didn't sign up for this. I, I
Wow.
I didn't sign up for this. If you will, I signed up to serve the people,
Hmm.
and that's what happens when you serve the people and you serve them in excellence. Elevation comes with that. It's a
Wow.
byproduct.
Okay.
When you do your job well, even in the marketplace, when we work our 9 to 5s, if you show up on time and you do dot your i's and cross your t's, and when you go the extra mile, promotion comes.
Hmm.
So I had to accept that that's what that meant. that he has. I mean, we've been working with each other for I think it's 8 years, 7 or 8 years now.
Okay.
So some people will even look at it as, oh, she's executive pastor because, they have a working relationship and she was already there. And no, 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 no. That's not what that means. Because as a senior leader, you take, as any kind of leader for that matter, you should take all of your decisions, you know what I'm saying, through a process. You should take it through prayer. So
Mhm.
just because we've been working together for 8 years does not mean that I automatically, get that seat, that the seat
Right.
belonged to me. Absolutely not. So yes, when he told me while he was, formulating his plan and the vision for the Go Church, it started out as me being director of operations, which I still am. Um, and then, I think a year in, or somewhere between like 6 to 12 months in, he said,
Mhm.
"Yeah, so you're going to be executive pastor." And I'm like, "No, I'm good where I'm at." I'm chill right here. It's like
Right.
I don't, because again, I do it because of my love for the people. I do it because I want to and I love to serve in the kingdom. So
Mhm.
I don't have to have a microphone. I don't have to have a title to do it. And he had and has to remind me that's why.
Yeah,
Because it's, you I steward it well. I handle the people properly, which
that's good.
isn't a
That's good.
cakewalk, but it
Now
comes with the
people be
territory.
doing people things.
Th-
People be doing people things. I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
And you said something I kind of want to go back to, in that it's like when it comes to, again, like I'm with you when it comes to like titles
mhm,
and things of that nature. And when I train and when I teach, I tell people that uh title is simply what I call a serve description. It
yeah,
just identifies your responsibilities. It's
yes,
not something of privilege. If the higher your title, the greater your responsibility. You
sir.
can't you can't emancipate the two. You can't separate the two. And so with that, and you trying to uh not necessarily seek after a title,
Hmm.
but in your case, it's like, what was the moment that you knew that you had to submit? Because even though there's we have people that may not want to chase the title,
Yeah,
but they are needed for a responsibility, and therefore for order there may be a need for a title. But it's like those, and I'm part of those, I believe, because I don't want titles, but I understand
yeah.
that there is a responsibility that I do have to the kingdom. But what did it take for you to accept it? See, being offered, or
Hmm.
telling your leader, saying, this is what I need you to do, or this is what I'm sending you to. But for you to be like, go from I'm good right here to from the pew to the office, as the
Yeah,
episode is called. Like,
yeah.
how did you come to that?
You actually,
Accepting
you actually said it. It's the fact that there's a need.
it. Okay.
There is the fact that yeah, not just, and again, not the title, it's not about the seat, it's not about the position, but just the fact that there is a need. So being, as you said, people like us, you and I,
Mhm.
we don't have to see the title to do the work. We see that there's work that needs to be done, and that in itself is a sign of a leader, that you step up to the plate when there's something that needs to be done, when there's a vacancy. It's like, okay, let me slide in here and do it. Even when I don't know how to do it, I'm gonna go in here, and at the very least I'm gonna fumble around until I get it right.
Right.
And with that, it's an incredible blessing to have a leader, um in general, but for me and Pastor Matt, that will give you the grace to fumble around until you get it.
Mm.
That's
Like,
something you don't. Yeah. That's
I
something
like
you
that.
don't see. You don't see I hate to say, see, I knew this podcast had the potential of getting me in trouble today.
Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh,
Um,
uh-oh. Give it to us. Give it to us.
yeah, but it's the need to answer the question, because I'm sure we'll dive deeper as the questions
Mhm.
come along. But it's seeing the need, and it's actually um the foundational scripture of our church, where the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few.
Got you.
So, being connected with him or working with him, um, and him, because even the time that we have been working together, to him saying, um, I'm going to be a pastor, to him accepting his call to pastor and to actually start the church. I just because that was what he calls you to do, don't mean didn't mean that that's where I was supposed to follow you. You
Means
know,
I'm involved with it. Like, come on, we over here now. Like, wait a minute.
when did we start speaking French? Wait a minute,
Right. Now,
hold on. But
now,
I will say it never, in the natural sense, it never not felt right. Didn't
okay.
feel, you
Wow.
know what I'm
Got
saying? Yeah. So of course I, took that through prayer and had my time with God in that decision. Um, but yeah, the need at the
you.
end of
The
the day.
need.
That's all it is.
Now I got the shift just a little bit
Come
because
on.
we ain't got the first part out. Now
Okay.
I want to know. I
Hmm.
want you to help the people. What insecurities
Oh my.
entered into your mind, entered into your spirit that said, you know what? I'm not qualified or I shouldn't take this. What was those insecurities and how did you deal with them? How did you deal with those
If I
insecurities?
Before I go down the list, I can say that I still, on some level or another, um deal with them even now. So
Oh, help
I
the people.
listen, the official appointment was September of 2021.
Okay.
So what's that, roughly 6 months or so, just over
Yeah.
6 months since then. And yeah, because, for speaking for me, I don't, number one, I don't want to mishandle the people. I don't want to disappoint God,
Hmm.
especially if I opened my mouth and I said yes to the call, to the position, and said this is what I'm going to do. I don't want to disappoint God. I don't want to disappoint my pastor. I don't want to disappoint the people. If they are trusting me, they've trusted that Pastor Matt has put me in this position. I don't want to let the people down. So yeah, those feelings of insecurity, imposter syndrome, can I do this? uh, yeah, it's real. Am I the one? Like, it never, yeah, I can say it never goes away, because I
Okay.
I, I don't want to mishandle the call. I don't want to mishandle the seat.
Wow.
But I will say, and actually I had to share this with somebody else to encourage them. Um, it's I think that's a sign of the respect that you have for the call, the respect that you have for the seat.
That's
Um,
good.
not, but at the flip side to that is, you can't let it, paralyze you to the point where you're not, moving at all, let alone moving how you should be doing, and making sure you're staying submitted under your leader, and of course of God, under God first, and holding yourself accountable.
Hmm.
That being in any kind of leadership position, that you got to hold yourself accountable. You can't always depend on your pastor or other people to pull your coattail. You got to have a hard conversation with yourself. Heart checks. Check
Hmm.
your heart daily. That is such a thing, because like you said, people be peopling. People are peopling like they never people before. Okay, in
Wow. Yeah.
2022. So
Woo!
they will pull something out of you that you didn't even know was there, or even
Mm,
something that you thought you had in check or under control. It- People, they are your biggest asset, but man, they could be your
man.
biggest headache too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I I appreciate that transparency because um people think that leaders got things together. They think that they uh have reached a level of almost invincibility, that certain things don't bother them and they don't get uh shook about
Yeah.
certain things. But I like how you stated that it can keep you aware, kind of keep you humble, but you have to have power over it that it doesn't paralyze you.
Yes.
I think that's very helpful to someone that's listening or watching this podcast. So thank you for that transparency.
Absolutely.
Um, I have a question.
Okay.
Being as you say that it's fairly new, September of 2021. Seeing that you from where you started in the pew,
Mhm.
now in the office, in leadership, in a senior leadership, not this as the senior leader, but a senior leadership role as a
Yeah.
member, um, growing or going through those different stages, where, as you look back, where do you see that there may be a disconnect between leadership and the people? Where what do you find that, do you find that now, like as the leader, it may be when the leader is casting the vision,
Yeah.
it may become with the execution of the vision, it can be with um between ministry teams, but I've found that sometimes that there's a disconnect or a gap in the bridge where the leader is here,
Mhm.
the people is here,
Mhm.
but there's something missing that's not connected into to the vision or to uh the leader or to the purpose of what they are called to do. Have you seen that?
Um, yes, absolutely. Because it could be a number of things. You have, like I said, that grace, that people have to remember. We like you said, we're all human. Just because we're sitting in the seat of leadership does
Hmm.
not mean, from someone from the pew looking onto the leaders, you should give your leaders grace just as
Mm.
much as you expect your leaders to give you grace.
Okay.
Just because we are in these seats of position, that doesn't mean that God has given us A to Z. In whatever seat that you sit in. No, it's unknown to us, just like it's unknown to you, until, you know what I'm saying, a certain point. So
Hmm.
that grace is absolutely necessary. Like I said, those hard checks and having those hard conversations, that self accountability, you need to be able to tell yourself, check yourself when you tripping. You need to pull your own coattail. You just Communication. That's
Gotcha.
a huge barrier, because then it at some point it leads into too many chiefs and not enough Indians, because
Mm.
everybody want to talk and nobody wants to listen. You know,
Gotcha.
people want to be heard at the end of the day. You know, Pastor tells our congregation and even our leaders all the time, ideas. Don't be afraid to submit your ideas. Email them
Hmm.
however you want to communicate them, but you need to be okay when your idea isn't used.
Gotcha.
Where's your maturity? Where a lot of people don't, because I have these conversations with members. I don't want to be rejected, and I don't. And then just from pastor saying no to an idea, that could possibly trigger something in the member, and now they don't want to participate, and now they don't want to be. It can get messy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and then like you said, what that in between, that's where the executive pastor can come in and be that bridge between the two, to have the conversation,
Got
um
you.
to settle the disputes, as they said in the Bible. That's what the leaders are in position to do. So that's where, Pastor does, he invests a lot of time in
Mm.
developing his leaders, a lot of time in developing the leaders, because he understands that these are the people that he has appointed over the people, so
That's a sign of a strong leader
yes.
that's willing to invest in his people. I'm gonna throw you a curveball with this next question. Okay, I'm gonna throw a slight curveball, uh, but I want to encourage, in particularly with this part right now, women. Okay, um, what challenges do you have as being a woman in the executive pastoral role, in dealing with not only other women but
Mhm.
men, and how do you navigate through that? I know this is a curveball,
It
but
is.
it just came up to me. But I want to, and I didn't even know that you were. I didn't even know that you were the leader of the women's group.
Yeah.
Um, but I want your take on that. In particularly, I want to encourage, some uh woman of God that is watching or listening, that think it's just a uh chauvinistic type of world, ministry world,
Hmm.
that they are qualified, that they are needed, that they are powerful, and just kind of speak to that. I don't want to keep rambling because
I got you.
I do have a heart for that, and I
Yeah.
do believe in women in power. But
Yeah.
how is that for
Yeah.
you?
um yeah, women empowerment, that is that's my heart as well. um Flat out, sis, I tell my ladies in the life group, um walk heavy.
Walk
if
heavy.
if walk heavy, if you go, it pairs with set the standard. If you have been called, if your leader has given you the position, hold your head up and walk heavy. Walk in the trust that has been given to you, flat out. And of course, that's one of those easier said than done, but
Mm-hmm.
that's that heart check. That's
Mm-hmm.
that holding yourself accountable. That's you have to be. It's like Peter having to get out the boat. Keep your
Mm-hmm.
eyes on God. Because you will, unfortunately, even in 2022, you will encounter men who, still don't think that women should be preaching, who think women should not be executive pastors,
Mm-hmm.
but you just have to, you got to keep walking. You got to keep your head up. There's just no other way. That's one of those things where you have to do the work, and you can't get lost in counting on someone else always having to pick you up, because especially like me, being a female executive pastor, the first female executive pastor of our church, having a male senior leader, there's going to be things that I go through, things that I deal with, even those situations of men be that don't think that I should have the position. He's not going to always be able to encourage me through that,
Mm.
because he's a man. He
Mm-hmm.
doesn't know the thoughts and the emotions and the hormones
Wow.
and all of that we as women deal with. And if so, the other thing is, find you a community of women. And I know that's not always easy, because women
I'm gonna stay out of that one.
you, you know, women don't, we women don't always have our sisters back, unfortunately. Um,
Okay.
and I can't even I honestly I don't even know why. That ain't even an answer that I could even try to make up. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, finding that community of women that it could be in your church and it can be out of your church. I would pray that you're able to find that community in your church. Because those are a group of women who know the culture of your church and will have an idea of what you're dealing with um, directly. So yeah, that keep your eyes. Remember your why. At the end of the day,
Remember your why.
remember the why, remember the why, and find that community of women that will uphold you.
So when you say when remember your why, are you? I don't want to assume, but I'm you talking about your purpose, right? Or
But I'll say in the context of the question, why you are serving in this seat.
got you. Okay.
Why are you in this position or in this ministry? Why you're here? Why once your senior leader has given you the position, and having that conversation as to why he or she thinks you're the one to carry that mantle, to carry that position. You have to stay focused on that in executing the vision of your pastor.
Wow, that is amazing. I think that has helped. Again, that was targeted to encourage and empowering any woman that is listening to this or watching this podcast that has or may have been in that executive or leadership role at any level um, longer than a year or 20, been in it 20 years or getting ready to go into it. I think that was some good nuggets, some standards that was set. I'm gonna ride that one through this podcast. So I just kind of listened to how you um walk through that and how you describe that. Is that would you say that that was your uh one or is it or one of your biggest like things that you had to deal with internally with being in this role or taking this role? Like did you was it just the ministry side or was it will I be accepted as a woman in leadership?
That was that question, will I be accepted as a woman in leadership? That is a question that I thought when he you know told me he wanted me to have that position, and one that I still think about. um yeah, I mean, because being in leadership, being in ministry, you can't do it without Jesus.
Praise the Lord.
You
You need
listen, you can't do it apart from him. You cannot. I mean, at the end of the day, it's his church anyway.
Mhm.
It's the kingdom is his house. We working in his house. So um yeah, dealing with that is only he can give you the strategy and the wherewithal that you need to navigate. Yeah, to navigate through it. Because serving over the years, as far as being administrator and being good at organization and things like that, it's second nature. But to do it at the level that God has called you to do it, you have to
Mhm.
have he has to be, yeah, paired with him. Like
Got you.
there's no other option. um
Wow.
yeah, so being accepted, that's that could be general as well, not even necessarily because I'm a female um pastor and will I be accepted by men, but that's something that just rises through um I don't know how I want to say it. That's just that, like rejection I spoke about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I say you have to do that heart check and those self assessments, and do the cleansing and the digging out and the transformation. Like, yes, we're working in the kingdom, and we're spiritual, and we know our Bible, and we can shout, and we can speak in tongues, but the you have to do the natural work as well.
Mm-hmm.
The natural work does help you with the spiritual work, because if you still dealing with rejection, if you don't have any kind of handle, if you have not put that under subjection to God, you're gonna have a bumpy ride sitting in leadership, still
Wow.
dealing with those isms and schisms. Not saying that you can't do it has to be completely gone in order to serve. No, but you do have to have some kind of handle on it. Otherwise, ministry is gonna wear you out.
I understand. I understand. I understand. So again, thank you for opening up and being transparent with that, the curveball. But I want to. Our time is going quick. I didn't even
Okay.
realize our time is going quick.
Bye.
And we might have to circle back around and continue
Okay.
on this. But I do want to kind of bring the podcast full circle.
Hmm.
Um, and I try to, or my goal is to have people leave with something that they can apply, something that they tangible almost that they can insert into their life, insert into their servanthood and their leadership
Hmm.
uh, right away.
Yeah.
So I want to circle back to how you, even before you uh, were assigned the role of executive pastor, you talked about how you work with your leader even
Hmm.
before the church
Yeah.
itself was birthed. But and I know your pastor, so he had different things going on, but you were in charge of those things. You helped bring those visions to life. So I can't help but believe that no, you didn't just singly get the position just because you worked with him for so long, but there
Yeah.
were some qualities
Mm.
that he saw in you that was consistent that helped confirm what God was saying as far as putting you into this role. So, can you, like, what are some qualities that you can help people or say, look, these are qualities that your leader look for
Hmm.
when selecting who's going to be on their team?
Mm. Um, a major one for ministry as a whole is trust. Um,
Trust is
you
big.
have to your leader has to be able to trust you, number one, with the people. That's that's why we're here. We're serving the people. Um, are you biting the sheep? Are you causing the sheep to bleed?
Hmm.
The trust. And also, well, and this probably is more so for my role. Um,
Hmm.
the other side of trust is them trusting you with them,
Mm,
with the pieces that the congregation don't get to see,
I
you
got you.
know, and they
Yeah.
trust you to be discreet. Discretion is huge in ministry. You got to know when knowing when timing is big in ministry,
Hmm.
so yeah, the trust piece, um and how you handle the people, the grace that you are, you teachable,
Hmm.
are you
Teachable.
humble,
Humble. That's good. I
are
like
can
that.
you one thing he says, is if he well, and it's really a rule of thumb in life, honestly. If somebody is talking, you shouldn't be talking.
Hmm.
So if he's talking in a sense of he's teaching, even if we're sitting in a one-on-one, more so if we're sitting in a one-on-one situation, um don't call yourself over talking me, like, oh yeah, I knew that. Oh yeah, But no, if you did, we wouldn't be having this conversation. If you were
Right.
capable, I wouldn't have to circle back around, X, Y, and Z. So yeah, that trust, that humility, and being able to um extend that grace, being empathetic, you have to have
Mhm.
the compassion. That's the word I really want to use, the compassion
Compassion.
for
That's
the
good.
people. Yeah,
Good.
absolutely.
Well, those are excellent points that people need to hear. So again, before we go,
Mhm.
I want to ask you, or I want to introduce you to what I call the Fiery Five.
Oh,
Okay,
Jesus.
Fiery Five. It's really nothing serious, nothing, just something lighthearted. We're gonna put you in the furnace. I'm gonna ask you five rapid fire questions, and we want to see who Hazel is. Who is Pastor Hazel? I call it the Fiery Five. We put you in the furnace,
Oh my.
and we gonna shoot these questions off on you, and we want to get your response. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Question number one.
Okay.
What is your favorite TV series to binge watch?
The Cosby Show.
Cosby Show. If you decided to run for president, what would your slogan be?
Set the standard.
Set the standard. I like that. What is your favorite place to vacation?
Ooh, I don't think I've found that place yet. I've
Not
been a
yet.
number of places, but I haven't found my favorite yet. Right, I'll say right now, LA. I'll say that.
LA? Okay, okay. If you could be best friends with a celebrity, who would it be?
Okay, first name that came to mind, Jill Scott.
Jill Scott. That's good. And what would your theme music be when Pastor Hazel feet hit the ground in the morning? What would that theme music be?
Oh, oh man, that's a great question. Um, it's something. It's either a Jill Scott song or a Mary J. Blige song. One of them.
One of the two.
One of the two. I can
Wow.
listen to them for hours on end.
Just put the playlist on and let it go.
Let them
You just
run. Yes.
again, so that was the Fiery Five. Thank
I
you,
love
thank
it.
you. Again, thank you for accepting the invite to this podcast. From the pew to the office, the growing pains of elevation. I think we only scratched the surface. We might have to do a second one, a part two.
Yeah.
Um, but at this time, just any last words of encouragement you want to give the people listening. Also, in that, give the people all of the good things of where they can find you, locate you, follow you on social media, anything you want to plug or promote. This is the time. The floor is yours. Have
Okay.
at it.
Well, as far as encouragement, I would just say, as I said earlier, remember the why. Remember why you are in that position, and take the position, take the vision, and run. Run like Forrest. Do not look back. And while you're doing it, set the standard. Do it in excellence
Hmm.
across the board, from A to Z, from the smallest. If you scrub in the toilet, scrub them in excellence. If you serving the bishop, the pastor, serve them in excellence. If you are the usher on the door, do whatever you're going to do it in excellence. As far as social media, you can find me um, um, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I don't tweet a lot, but I am on Twitter. Um, at Lady Haze. That's LADEEHAZE. You can find me on all three platforms under Lady Haze. And just you can catch us at the Go Church Chicago every Sunday, 700 East Sibley Street in Hammond, Indiana. Service starts at 12:30 p.m. So you can wake up late and still make it to service.
Hey, awesome.
And be on time. Yes.
Awesome, awesome. Again, thank you for joining me on the show today, Pastor. I really appreciate it. For those who are watching, those who are viewing, leave comments in the section, ask questions. We'll get back to you. Make sure you share, and subscribe wherever you are viewing it or listening to this podcast content. Follow Pastor Hazel on all the social media platforms she have identified that she's on. I will put all of that in the description. This has been another episode of Leader Supporting Leader Podcast. I'm your host, Ewan Eichert II. Again, a special thanks to my guest, Pastor Hazel Gill, and we will see you on the next episode.